Hello everybody and welcome to another round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in Season 10. It's time for the LMP2s and the likely fastest cars that we're going to see this season, the fastest lap times anyway, over the combined long Nordschleife layout. We've already seen that for the LMP3s and we're going to see it for the Nissan ZX GT GTP later on this season as well. In fact, only in a couple of weeks' time, actually. But it's time for the LMP2s this time round. Myself, Ian Dallara, James Parfitt with you again for another round of the championship. As we have a look at the drivers' standings before we really get to the end of qualifying and the start of the race. Jason Hightower has had an unbelievable season so far. He earlier won 5 in a row, the first 5 in a row, and he's not given up the championship lead since then. Dave Mull, Evan Crowd, and also Dan Cossack are giving chase by the closest. They're only 9 points apart, those three. Then it's Corey Stas rounding out the top 5. Dean Diltz is 6th ahead of Scott Sadler. Then you get to Dave Hernandez, who's the first of those who's missed quite a lot of rounds so far this season. In fact, he's not been here for 4 weeks now in a row, but he is back tonight, which is a good thing. In the AM standings, we've got Pat Mish currently leading the way by just 1 point. It's a great championship battle between he and Stephen Johnson. Anthony Solomon is over 50 points further back, but he's quite close with Tim Watchow. Steve Kube rounds out the top 5, followed by Dylan Hesslink, Christopher Heron, and then you get to those who have missed more rounds than... John Amico's actually only missed 3. Then you get to those who have missed more rounds than their drop weeks will allow them to. Houston Elliott outside the top 8 by a long way. Jason Hightower has taken pole again here, this time in the LMP2s. He's done it many times in the past, most recently in the Porsche Cup cars. Now he's back on pole again alongside Dean Diltz with Evan Crowd, the winner of the last 2 weeks in a row, in 3rd. Corey Stats is in 4th, but Dave Mull, Stephen Johnson on pole in the AM class ahead of Anthony Solomon. Dave Hernandez is first of those who didn't qualify, but good to see him back after 4 weeks away. Dan Cossack and Tim Watchow round out the top 10 with Pat Mage 11th, 5 positions behind his championship rival. Chase Petterjohn is in 12th position, ahead of Anthony Serino and Scott Sadler rounding out the field. 14 drivers as it is here today. Good to be back, James, on the Tail Racing Ring Runners, and Jason Hightower on the pole again here, wondering whether he can restart his winning streak that he had going at the start of the season. 5 in a row. He could repeat that if he wins from today all the way to the very end of the season, as unlikely as that is, but he started off in the best possible way with a pole position.
Yeah, he has. It's going to be very interesting to see what Hightower does here, to be honest. If he can restart this streak back up, I'm going to be very, very impressed. I've got to be honest. This was just, that beginning opening to this season was absolutely incredible. And I do wonder whether or not he's got it in him to be able to do it again and start it again. I think it's going to be interesting. If he can keep it going to the end, well, he would have had an absolute stellar season, wouldn't he? Let's be real. So, and a shoe in for the championship, I think. I don't think there's many in and around him that's going to be able to catch him.
No, I mean, because of the 3 drop rounds, he's still dropping a race win, which is unbelievable, really, after 7 weeks. If he doesn't win today, then finally we will not be dropping race wins anymore, and finally some of the other guys can actually look at how they can gain some points here. But other than that, it's looking very, very difficult. Because of the drop weeks, though, it's only got a 29-point championship lead, and that does mean that if Duck Week was tomorrow, which it didn't, but if it was, they would still have a chance of winning the title. Unfortunately, they would need quite a lot of people to be here, first of all, and they need Hightower to have a horrendous day, but it is still mathematically in the game, so that will give a bit of hope. And of course, the fact Evan Crowder's got 2 in a row, he's got a streak of his own right now.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the thing. There's a lot of people in and around that could challenge Hightower, but I don't know, dude. He's been so strong this season. He really has been strong. So I don't know. I'm going to take this with a pinch of salt at the moment. I think it could be Hightower's championship.
Yeah, I think he's definitely runaway favourite, but you just never know in these kind of series. I mean, who would have predicted we'd have 4 separated by 3 points before the final round last season? You just never know in this series. Let's see what's going to come here tonight, though, as the LMP2s get underway here from the combined long layout of the Nurburgring Nordschleife. It's round 8 of the Tail Racing Ring Runners in Season 10, and Hightower is not going to wait around for too long before getting underway, and indeed there was some surprise in the background. Look at that, Diltz chops in front of Evan Crowd immediately there on the front straight and gives a slipstream straight to Corey Stas, actually, in the black and white. He's going to come up on the outside. He's going to break too late. Oh, my goodness. He's hit Dean Diltz massively in towards turn 1. And Diltz goes up for a big spin down into the corner. Goodness me. That was big contact, and that was Corey Stas completely misjudging his braking zone. own down at turn number 1. He'll get away without too much damage, but they're both to the back of the field. Out front, Jason Hightower's kept his lead. Evan Crowroad was side by side with him for a while, but it's a chaotic start on the cold tyres here down in towards turn 1.
Yeah, how ironic, he's got a rocket logo on the side of his car and he's just come through like an absolute rocket, as Corey Stas, on Dean Diltz. So poor old Diltz there, all the way back to the back of the end of the field. After qualifying in second, he did a great job on qualifying and then unfortunately didn't last past turn 1. But Krautfeld now is here with Hightower, who must have just made a mistake, and he has done. He's dropped down to third at the moment.
This is not a great start for Jason Hightower. He did get dive bombed down the inside at turn number 1, but that wasn't what sent him back to third place. It's happened since then. Krautwood and Mull have gone straight through into first and second, so can Evan Krautwood maybe continue this run of form that he's on right now and continue winning here? Pat Mace, meanwhile, is trying to make up some places. He was actually still where he started coming out of the first corners, but now he's finally moved into the top 10 for the first time. Only problem for him, he's 6 positions behind his AM Championship rival. What a great start for Stephen Johnson, who's up 2 places so far, and he's in 4th as an AM driver.
Yeah, the AMD battle was very, very close indeed. So I'm well impressed with the fact that these guys are still so close. There's literally 1 point behind between Mish and Johnson. And Mish is sitting there in 10th. Johnson's in 4th at the moment. So Johnson is absolutely laughing. It's going to be on what Hightower's going to be able to do here. He's got Dave Mole in front of him, Evan Krautfeld in front of that. It does look like, as we say that, Johnson's gone round. Oh.
He got hit by Stas there as well. Sadler and Diltz have tripped over each other as well as they were trying to come through. As always, replays will come at the end as Hightower comes down the inside of Dave Mull, and that was pretty easy for him. But just as we were singing the praises, Stephen Johnson goes for a spin over the top there of the hill just as he come onto the north side for the first time. That is a real shame for him. And the fact he got clipped by a couple of drivers as well. Sadler's actually gone off as well here down on the way towards the Hatzenbach. So it's all been happening down there, I'm afraid, and there'll be some damage to repair down towards the back end of the field, but that's given Anthony Solomon the lead. It's given Pat Mace a championship lead as well. Stephen Johnson toes back to pit lane. We're not going to be seeing him again for a while, if indeed he does even come back out onto the circuit anyway, and that is very, very unfortunate indeed for him. This is Anthony Solomon, who's now in the lead of the race here in the AM class, drafting off the back of Dave Hernandez at the moment for 4th position.
Yeah, he is. He's coming running that run down into Arenberg here for the first time. Oh, he's a little bit more precarious than Hernandez. He does what he has to do. He got it hooked up, got it stopped, but he was very tentative going in there. Solomon's now got Cossack and Chase Petterjohn wrapped in behind him at the same time. This could be an interesting one, you know, because these are quite large cars and there's not a lot of room on Nords for these guys to make overtakes. It's more of a wait and see until they make a mistake. But at the moment, for Chase Petterjohn, he's got to sit in there with Cossack and Solomon and see how he gets on. Has Solomon got to make the move over Hernandez because he's being held up and being pulled into this Petterjohn battle?
Well, it's going to be interesting. This is where the focus is going to be over the course of the race, I would imagine. This is where the battles are going to be, although Hightower's catching Krautwood as well. That might well be one to watch a little bit later as well. But this is in the midfield. Petterjohn right in behind Dan Cossack here. Maybe it was Cossack who clipped Johnson. I'm pretty sure it was Stas, but anyway, it might be wrong.
I think, with a rocket logo on the side of his car.
I think so, but they're both black and white cars, which is obviously makes them look similar. So I'm not entirely sure who it was. Again, we'll have a look later. No mistaking who Chase Petterjohn's car is at the moment, which one he's driving. It's mirroring an IMSA livery, that, but an Acura GTP livery. He's got on an LMP2, which is a bit of a mashup. But anyway, he's still second. Head of Tim Watch out, and then Anthony Serino, who's looking pretty good right now for 9th position. So getting very close for second in the AM class here as they come through Exmuller and now out onto Charles Bergberg. And the fast left-hander as well. This could be very interesting between these guys. Here comes Pat Mace now as Serino just had to hit the brakes on the exit of the corner. Pat Mace is going to come straight through.
Yeah, he's going to go round. He's going to take that inside line. Dean Diltz is on a bit of a mission now. He's on a recovery after being sent off to the Neverland in turn 1. He's now got back through and made himself up into 10th place. He's still down 8, mind you. But this is where we're going to find out what this draft scenario is going to be. How fast are we going to get here? That's going to be the question in these cars. We're looking at north of 160 at the moment. And he's closing in at a rapid rate of knots.
This slipstream is absolutely huge. Look at this. Oh, and he's on the grass, team. Diltz, goodness me. That was 2 wheels on the grass. Oh, contact. thought he was going to back out there. Thought Pat Mace would back out, but no. I guess Team Dilts thought he was going to back out as well. But Dilts is in the fence for the second time this afternoon already, and that's a tow back to pit lane for him. That might well be the end of his day as well. We'll see as Sereno gets past Pat Mace as well here. Mace has made a mistake further on down in the background towards Starstrekker. What a big moment at the end of the straight there. Dilts' aggression did not pay off at all there.
No, unfortunately put him straight in the wall, and he's now gone and jumped back to pits and called it a day. Didn't even last one lap after qualifying second. He's got to be absolutely gutted with how this race has gone. I want to pick up at Dan Cossack's liveries. The Venom livery looks absolutely amazing. I've got to be honest, that is incredible with the face on the front.
Is that what that is? I thought it was just black and white pattern.
No, look at that. It's the Venom face.
Oh yeah.
Looks awesome.
Oh yeah. Oh, that is good. Yeah. Well, I hadn't spotted that. But yeah, apologies for this slightly unusual camera angle, but I couldn't see it otherwise.
That's the only way we could make it happen.
Anyway, yeah, that's very well done. I don't know who did that, whether he did that himself, but that is very well done. And a character from a film I'm aware of. Would you believe it?
Have you watched it?
I have watched the first one. It came out about 10 years ago.
Blimey. That's one film out of many.
I was a kid in secondary school at the time.
Oh, God's sake.
Wait, I can't remember how many years ago it was. Is it about 10? Am I imagining that? Anyway, Evan Crowther's just got a little bit wide through the Shroud entrance, by the way, just into the gravel, and that might have given Hightower the slipstream right when he needed it here, right at the Dottinger Hurt. There's going to be the right-hander at Galvenkop, and then the run towards Tiergarten, and Hightower is going to be in the slipstream. He just tips that gap below a second here. As they follow each other off the road down here. Watchow and Sereno off into the grass, but what's going to happen here? Hightower's into the slipstream. There will be a bit of a downforce game going on as far as how draggy the cars are, and indeed how fast they'll go on the straight, but it looks like Hightower's going to have enough here to come straight through on the way to the Tiergarten. He might even get them before the bridge here. Over 180 miles an hour before you plunge uphill again, up towards the Bilstein Bridge, and just under the bridge he's going to get him here. Easy as you like. Jason Hightower through. He started the straight about a second off. The momentum has taken him straight past Evan Crowther here and into the lead by the end of the first lap.
Yeah, great job from Hightower. You saw the difference there as well. We know they're open setups until we get to Duck Week, but there's also Chase Petterjohn running side by side at the moment as well with Cossack. Petterjohn does make it through on Dan Cossack as well. I can confirm Venom October 5th, 2018.
18. Okay, that's more recent than I thought. That makes me feel a bit better.
Was that you in high school in 2018?
I was, yeah, but I was close to the end, so that makes me feel a bit better.
It doesn't make me feel any better. I was still in my 40s.
No, well, I know, but you know, what can you do?
Thanks,
anyway,
mate.
Meanwhile, Hightower out of the Mercedes arena. It's still in the lead, just ahead of Evan Crowther. And now the interesting point in this race comes, I think, because you know, anyone can have a bad start and lose a couple of positions, as Jason Hightower did, as we saw. But now the question is, can he pull away from Crowther now that they're just effectively in a race with one another, as Chase Petterjohn comes through and Anthony Solomon to take the AM lead away there?
Yeah, Solomon's now down into second. He's got to try and close back up onto Petterjohn if he can. You can see Stas in pit lane. I'm really not surprised, to be blatantly honest, after his rough lap one. He didn't even make it around turn one before he punted Dilts off, and then I'm sure he hit Johnson. But we will have a look back at that later on as well. But yeah, Solomon's now got to get hold of Petterjohn. He has got Cossack closing in. Krautfeld has also managed to close back up here as well on Hightower.
As long as he can stay in the slipstream here, Krautfeld, then I think he'll be pleased with his second lap of the race and towards the fast chicane at the end of the Grand Prix straight. Now, these cars must be fantastic to drive through there. I've actually done a bit of prototype driving on the Nordschleife, not through the combine, but the Nordschleife on its own in GTPs, which I know is pretty different to what we see in here today. But you'd be surprised how enjoyable this circuit is, I think, in the prototype. Very high downforce machine that it is. You just think almost that they're almost too fast for the circuit, and it must be a bit almost too much to cope with. But actually, I think the cars are really quite well suited. Obviously, we're never going to see this kind of thing in real life anymore. But that's exactly what sim racing is for, to put these prototypes onto the Nordschleife.
Yeah, it is good. I think it is good. I'm going to be just paying a little bit more attention when they go through the carousel, how much they're actually dragging on that carousel, whether or not they've got the inside left dragging on the floor here, because it is quite a steep banking. So I'd be interested to see whether or not that's going on at the moment, and whether or not we can hear. I might try and go on board and see if we can hear the grind there, whether or not there is one.
I think it's always a problem in prototypes and open wheelers as well. GT cars generally just about high enough not to completely scrape themselves to death on the carousel, but unfortunately the prototypes do a little bit. I think in some cars actually it's faster to run around the top instead of going in the banking. Actually, based on what we saw on lap 1, I think it is probably just about faster in these cars to actually get in the banking and use it properly. But sometimes you see, especially the high downforce machines, you see them running around the top. Oh, contact down at Nurburgring. That's Dan Kosick trying to get past Anthony Solomon there, and it's not worked. Anthony Serino goes straight back through, but Solomon won't be pleased. Only as he lost a couple of seconds. He might have a bit of damage there after that side-to-side contact at Nurburgring.
Yeah, I think Kosick just went in a little bit deep there, and the gap was always going to be closing. Unfortunately for them, I'll mark that because I want to have a look back and see what went on there, and whether or not that was what I expected it to be. The door was left open. Solomon's gone. Kosick's gone to try and take a dive. Solomon's closed the door, and then Kosick's ended up on the curb. So there we go for him. But Serino is now tucked in right behind him. Lap 2 here. 3 attempts back already. Here's Serino. He's got room to bring him up here, right? I think this could be interesting to see how Serino gets on. This is the battle for second in class, of course.
Yeah, this is a good drive so far from Serino. He's on the day up 6 after starting on the back row of the grid alongside Scott Sadler, and so this is a good drive, and maybe he's got enough time as well to take the lead away. That might be a bit of a stretch, but we will wait and see as they go into Versiphon. We've seen so much drama so far this season on the brakes down there and through the curves and whatever. Then in towards Exmuller, where you always see drama in any season. Always so close there on the outside. It's so easy to get involved with. Serino with a little bit more speed actually just had to let off again there through the middle. Look at that line there through Exmuller. He is flying right now. Serino's quicker than Solomon, that much is clear. But is it a downforce game? No, it's Solomon is just going to let him through here. So now Serino is going to set his sights ahead and maybe chase down Chase Pettijohn for the win.
It's a very momentum-based car. That's the thing here. It's very momentum-based in this LMP2. So they do have to keep it up here. I just want to see if we get a grind off that front left here as well, coming in through carousel on board with Jason Hightower. Should be able to hear it.
Yeah, just listening.
No, not really.
Doesn't look too bad.
No, it did look like it didn't look like he had any form of sort of grinding noise. It wasn't any specific grind there as well. You can have a look as the cars come towards us here, whether or not there is any rubbing with Serino. Oh, if there is, it's minimal, isn't it, by the looks of it?
Yeah, it's always a little bit of a concern around there, but I think these cars are just about high enough. Maybe the setups are just about jacked up enough to not scrape along the ground. It is something you can do in iRacing. Some games obviously won't let you put the ride height so it scrapes anywhere around a particular circuit, but iRacing does let you scrape along the ground and find out the consequences later if you play with the ride height a little bit too much. It's one of the things you can do in the prototypes. As Dan Kosick's off the road, just a couple of seconds behind these guys. He will be caught by Tim Watch. I don't think it was a contact with the wall or anything, but he seems to have just run through the grass and lost a little bit of time. Look at Serino here, though. A second and a bit ahead of Solomon here, just through this twisty section. As I say, I thought it was almost down to setup, maybe, that there was a difference between these two, but no, maybe Serino is just quicker right now, and he's catching Chase Pettijohn as well.
Yeah, he has. He's going to move forward. He's going to be on the back of Pettijohn. You know, 1.5 seconds is not very long. Serino does look very comfortable in the LMP2s. I've got to be honest. He looks like he's been in these cars for a while and handled this one. Anthony Serino's got the gap, still about 1.5, 1.6. He's got to try and stay a little bit closer. I don't think the draft is going to be strong enough from this far back. However, it does look like Pettijohn was very slow then, but maybe not. Yeah, Sereno is closing in 1.5. Going to have to see how close he's going to be able to get here.
Yep, it's, I don't think, quite close enough, but he's flying at the moment, bringing that gap right down, and maybe it is close enough. The momentum might well just take him into within a second here, although not quite, and now you see the gap going up. So there might be a bit of a difference here. Sereno might be on a bit of a high downforce setup than what Chase Petterjohn is here, because have a look at that. Compared to the slipstream that we were seeing earlier for Hightower, by the way, it's 10 mile an hour down, and there for Petterjohn, 5 mile an hour quicker, pretty much there. So there's clearly a difference in terms of straight line speed, but I do reckon once Sereno gets into the slipstream, he might well have a much better chance.
Yeah, I think as well. And also, he's clearly got the pace through the corners because he was bringing the gap down. So for Sereno, in hindsight, he could, get there in the corners if he can. Chase Petterjohn's got David Andes in front of him, and Andes is being chased down, well, funny enough, by Chase Petterjohn. Sereno as well. So this could be a nice little 3-car fight soon.
Could be. We'll wait and see here for 4 positions. We cross halfway in this race. Jason Hightower has got a 2-second lead now over Evan Krautwald, and all of a sudden he's starting to see the dominance that has taken Jason Hightower through this season so far. 5 wins in a row to start off with. 2 in a row for Krautwald in the last couple of moments, including the full 38 points 2 weeks in a row. But it looks like he's going to lose some points again here to Jason Hightower again at the end of this race, unless there's a pretty surprising mistake from our race leader. He's going to take the win here, and another one to stack up 6 out of 8. Should be a remarkable record for him, and well, a big championship lead as well in the AM Championship. It's very much Mees versus Johnson. And so far, Pat Mees is just a few points in front, so he's going to extend his championship lead just a little bit, but neither of them are having a particularly good race.
Yeah, that's the thing at the moment. We're back to that same scenario at the moment here, Ewan, as well, which really seems quite bizarre. The faster the car, the more spread out the drivers are. And we're kind of seeing that same thing again here. It's the faster they are, the more spread out they are. Do you know what I mean? And it seems to be happening every time we kind of get into a faster class of car.
Yeah, it does a little bit, and I think there's some exceptions, but we are starting to see that again. I mean, the Pro 2 lights last week were pretty fantastic to watch. It's surprisingly, you wouldn't think that based on how slow they were and how unusual it was as well. The fact they actually had to enforce track limits for the first time ever at this circuit, because otherwise their drivers would just be going all over the place through the grass, where these cars, or those cars rather, would be a lot more comfortable. But yeah, we are starting to see that again here, and well, it's not quite as spread out as what we've seen for some of the races earlier on this season. I remember the Porsche Cups and the Radicals week after back to back, week after week, were really spread out. But this is still a close race with a lot of interest in it here. Sereno is catching Petterjohn again now, and what's going to happen between these two is going to be well, the main focus, I think, for the remainder of the race.
Yeah, I think he is. The fact he's closing in on him is something that we're going to keep an eye on here as well. It isn't going to be long. I think Sereno's got the speed in the corners. As you say, I don't think he's got it out on the straights, so he's got to get it done in this corner section here. Got to have it done there, because I don't think he's got the pace to try and keep up with him.
No. It's always an interesting battle when you've got different amounts of downforce on here, as we have in the AM leading battle right now. Anthony Solomon not able to stay with them. He's more than 5 seconds further down the road here, as they now come down the Fuchsrud and in towards Adnar Force now. It's too Sereno getting a lot closer now as he bounds over those curbs. Both two on the way in towards the chicane itself. He's right there. A little bit of curb. Sereno a little bit wide for Petterjohn. They're both making just slight errors. The pressure getting to both of them here on the penultimate lap here. It remains to be seen when we get to one of these straighter sections just what straight line speed Sereno has actually got in the slipstream, because we know on his own he has not got anything over Chase Petterjohn here.
No, that's the thing. It's going to be how far can he go. Has he got that the gearing to be able to take him up faster, or is he just going to redline that car and not be able to go anywhere? That's going to be the question for Sereno. As I say, I think he's got the pace in the corners, but it's whether or not he's going to be able to have the pace. His run out of Burbo might give us a rough idea where he's at, because he should be able to close in on the run up into the carousel, but we're going to have to try and keep an eye out and see what he does here.
It was pretty wide from the two of them hit there as they went into Verstappen, his ex-Muller. Serino's just got so much more grip. You saw it when he was on the back of Solomon, almost having to brake on the exit of corners because he was getting too close. So a bit of a slide though, and that's not quite going to be the exit that he needed. Petterjohn's certainly thinking about him though, because you can see him moving his line now, and that's always a sign when you're the driver behind you. You absolutely know that you're in the head at that point. In towards Bergvert. He's a bit wide as well, Petterjohn, and Serino's going to have a chance here. He's going to pull alongside immediately though, and that could be a bit of a problem because there's no bit of downforce required for another few hundred metres yet on the way up towards the mud curve. Petterjohn's just going to outdo him here in terms of straight line speed, and he's going to bobble over the curb. That might give Serino a bit of a chance back again here as the momentum just goes away from Petterjohn. He is going to just have enough straight line speed though to hold on to this position unless Serino does something spectacular, and he won't. Petterjohn on a bit of a different line is going to be fine. He gets away with that one, but Serino needs to time that run right, and he will surely be getting past Petterjohn even with less straight line speed clearly than his rival.
Yeah, he's just got to try and stay in contact with him getting onto the dot and a hoe, isn't he? I think that's the thing here for Serino. As soon as the problem is he had so much speed carried through the corners, he got too close. Oh, there we go. He didn't even have to. Petterjohn's giving it to him there, popped out the carousel, and clearly, from our point of view, it shows you've got to be in there to stay there.
And this is the worst possible point to do it as well, because the most technical section and the most or the section where most downforce is required is absolutely next, and so if Petterjohn's able to stay within a second, then he will retake the lead. But the job he's got here to keep this gap within a second, I think, is going to be too difficult, and there you see it already through the first few corners. 1.1 seconds, that's going to continue to go up now.
Yeah, but he's got at least 5 miles an hour on the dot and a hoe. He's got at least 5. If he can keep within a certain gap, I think if he can get down to below a second, I think he might be able to catch him. If he doesn't catch him, then I think Serino over that final lap is going to be uncatchable. But I think at the moment for Petterjohn, he's losing so much time. I don't know now though.
5.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Just goes to
Absolutely
show
massive.
what Serino's got on that car in terms of downforce.
Yeah, I mean, I'm starting to think he might even have high downforce on, which I would never do around this circuit, but I mean, it's working at the moment, and he's even closing on Dave Hernandez, so fair play. I think, personally, medium downforce is the right balance around this circuit. There's plenty of straight sections where you do need the downforce, but or where you don't need the downforce, I should say, but plenty of corners where you do. So I think medium's a nice balance, but I think Serino might have even gone high downforce here, and it seemed to be paying off at the moment. 2.3 seconds, and so he's going to lose about half a second again here. We saw Petterjohn gain that amount of time last time round, and so you'd imagine he will do it again, but that's only going to bring it back to 1.8, sorry, and that's not going to really make any difference here for Anthony Serino, so he'll be more focused on Dave Hernandez in front of him now.
Yeah, it will be... What has he got here? It is coming down, but Serino's also coming down on Hernandez. So if Serino's got high downforce, what is Hernandez running for him to be losing time to Serino? Petterjohn's got the gap down at 1.7. There's a big mix of setups going on here.
So Kosick is about to pass Solomon as well down the straight here. Oh, and it's towards Tirgon. That's a bit late, but Kosick's got it done there for 7th position. I wonder whether he can catch the other two in front. I maybe don't think he can. I think what happened for Serino there is that Hernandez has got the same downforce as him, but Serino got a better run out of Gowenkop, and that just tipped him below 1 second, and then he started to get the slipstream. So Serino, I think, started to gain as a result of that. It was a combination of a better run through the final corner and a slipstream as well. I don't think there's any downforce difference between Hernandez and Serino. I do think there's some pace difference, though, to be honest. I think Serino's actually quicker right now, and is probably favourite to finish 4th as it stands.
Yeah, I think Hernandez is going to struggle in the corners. If the only way round I could think this is at the moment is Petterjohn's got low, Serino's got medium, and Hernandez has got high. Because Hernandez shouldn't be losing time if Sereno was running high downforce, and I don't think he is. I think he's running medium, and that's why Pettijohn can get him because he's running low, and that's why Sereno can close in on Hernandez, because Hernandez technically through this section should be motoring along, but he isn't really.
Yeah, well, that's why. That's why I think that the difference in terms of cornering speed between these two are actually just driver performance at the moment, rather than an actual downforce difference between the two. It's impossible for us to know, obviously, but maybe there is that going on as well. Pettijohn. So, I mean, I'd be astonished if anyone's gone low downforce around the north side. That'd be insanity. But anyway, they might have done it. So Sereno just gaining a little bit again as he comes out onto the exit of the Grand Prix circuit and out onto the north side for the final time. This race is absolutely ripping by. 7:53 last time round from Jason Hightower. That was 1.7 seconds quicker than Evan Kratwald. Sereno last time round, by the way, didn't even set a personal best. It was another 59 though, and that was quicker than Dave Hernandez, quicker than Dave Mull as well. Sereno's got third best speed in the field right now, but he's only going to finish fourth by the looks of it, and that's only if he can get past Dave Hernandez on this last lap.
Yeah. The question will be, can he? And if he can, where is he going to do it? That's going to be the thing, isn't it? Is he going to get it out the run from here down to Arenberg? Is he going to be able to get him from Bergwerk up to Carousel? Or is he going to wait for the dot and the hoe? But if he waits, could bring Pettijohn into this.
It's a real danger here for Sereno. He can't let this go out too far here in this battle for fourth. He can't let this get out of hand. He's got to either sit behind there and just accept the fact he's going to finish fifth, unless there'll be a battle right at the very end, or he's got to make the pass very quickly and efficiently. He can't be side by side forever, otherwise he will invite Pettijohn back to the party here. Outside line for Schradenkreuz, and there's the problem. He was a bit briefly side by side. They'll have slowed each other down. He's still not through though. Oh, it's a peak to the inside. That's going to be even worse, and Pettijohn will gain loads of time as a result of this. Yeah. It was between a half a second and a second, but you've got to remember, if Pettijohn's half a second suddenly brings him into slipstream, that time difference is going to go down exponentially, so he's got to be very wary of that. Even a 1.5 second gap or so, I'd be very concerned about if I was Anthony Sereno at the moment. He might have had his decision made for him here, in that he can't actually get past, and so he might have to stick behind, whether he likes it or not here. But let's wait and see. Oh, hello. That's pretty wide and pretty difficult. Through into the siphon they go. A little bit of a lock up there from Hernandez. This is not helpful for Sereno, but he didn't exactly get it stopped in time very well either. And Pettijohn made a mistake clearly as well, because he's now 2.7 behind. The lack of downforce there really playing into Sereno's hand, if you like, as they now come out of Exmuller. These two, they look like they've got a similar setup on to me. They're running pretty nicely together without too much interruption, but Sereno's got a decision to make again now. To be honest, with the gap now at 3 seconds, I might be inclined to stay behind if I'm Sereno here. Well, I think now he can. I think before he couldn't. Exactly. Well, he's going for it. Hello. I didn't think he was, actually. I thought he was deciding himself here, but he's going to the inside through the muck curve. Hernandez is going to give it up. Oh, dearie me. It's a dangerous corner, isn't it, in these cars when they're running side by side like that. The likelihood of a big accident just goes up massively. But Sereno comes through, and that might well have secured him the AM victory now. That was pretty smart. He did that in the end very well indeed. As I said at the time, I would have stayed behind, but look at the time that Pettijohn's gained even on that straight. He's now 1.5 behind, and that's the kind of margin I said that I'd be worried about. Sereno, though, doesn't have to worry about him, not only because that gap is going to increase now to Pettijohn, but also because he's got that one driver buffer in between himself and his rival. Yeah. Oh, whoa, he's wide! Oh, no! Sereno off! And all of a sudden, all of that hard work's undone here. And Pettijohn's right in the game now. He's even got a bit of damage down the left-hand side, Sereno. And Pettijohn all of a sudden gets himself into favourite status to win from here. He's got to stay close, though, through this final section. It's going to be very, very close indeed. And Pettijohn goes a bit wide there and off over the grass as well. Just out at the corner after Brunchen. Goodness me, 1 second is the gap now. And Pettijohn's got a real job in his hands through these final corners, which are even more high downforce than the ones before. Look at him losing time again here. I'd still be nervous if I was Sereno, to be honest, but if he can just get in the slipstream of Hernandez, he might just survive. We'll check back in with those guys a little bit later on, but Jason Hightower is coming down the straight again to another victory here. At the start of this season, he got 5 in a row. The Spec Racer 4, the GT1, LMP3, Street Stocks and Porsche Cup cars were all won by him. And now he's going to add another to that list here with a victory in the LMP2s. What a fantastic drive it's been from him after a pretty difficult start that we'll see it again in a couple of moments' time. He's taken advantage, though, of his speed, and he's dominated again. Bring Evan Crowder's winning streak to an end, and to keep his dominance over this championship, Jason Hightower wins here in the LMP2s on the combined Nordschleife layout. Who's going to win in the AM class? Pettijohn not quite close enough here to Anthony Sereno, who has now got that buffer back again. Hernandez made a mistake through the final corners at Traubentrans and indeed at Galvenkopf as well. And so while Pettijohn might well get his top 5 back, he's not going to get his AM victory. Sereno's going to keep it just about, but it's going to be a very small margin. Hernandez is even gaining on him here for 4th place overall. Surely he's not going to do anything here to get in the middle of these two. Down on the brakes, Sereno brakes quite late. Oh, maybe too late here. Has anyone got a better run? No. Pettijohn goes off himself as well. And Anthony Sereno is going to win in the AM class. A dramatic finish between the two. And a great race in the AM class here, but Anthony Sereno takes the victory here in the LMP2s. What a fantastic performance from him.
He was lucky there. Very lucky indeed for Anthony Sereno. I was wondering whether or not he was going to be able to make it. And then he goes and mounts the curb. So fair play to him on that one. We're going to wait for a couple of others here just to go over the line. Mish, Sadler, Stas. Sadler, awful one, didn't he?
Yeah, he's not had much luck this season. Stas. He's had some pretty bad rounds when he has done. This is his worst finish, though. He did not start one of the rounds, so that's what's got him a little bit down at the moment. But 5th place only in the championship, and this is his worst actual finish on the season. We'll wait for Tim Watchow to come across the line in a couple of moments as well. But one more thing, by the way, actually, on that, Anthony Sereno has only been at this round. He's not been at any of the others so far. It was also Chase Pettijohn's first round of the season, and they end up finishing 1 and 2. It's a pretty bizarre set of circumstances there.
Yeah, but it's just somehow how it works out, isn't it? That's the thing here for these guys. Watch out now, sitting in, coming over the line as well. But, you know, it wasn't quite the barnstormer, but it did give us some good racing with Fernandez, Sereno and Pettijohn. Once Hightower got out in front, it was kind of sort of like he was on his bike, wasn't it, really?
Oh, I quite enjoyed that, to be honest. I thought it was a good race, especially in the AM class. But there you go. Stephen Johnson is going to finish down towards the back end of the field. We already know that because he's the only driver still running out there on the circuit. So let's have a look at the race results with Jason Hightower victorious this time around, I should say. Just under 5 seconds ahead of Evan Crowder with Dave Mull in 3rd. Anthony Sereno wins in the AM class from 4th place overall. Great battle between him, Dave Hernandez and Chase Pettijohn, who made a mistake at the end, finished in the end only 5 seconds in front of Dan Kosick. Pat Mees was a minute down, along with Scott Sadler and Corey Stas, who had a bit of a nightmare. Tim Watchow finished 2 minutes down in 11th. Stephen Johnson did get past Anthony Solomon at the end there, because Solomon finished a lap down. Dean Dilts didn't get to the end of the opening lap before pulling the plug here today, as we're about to see in a bit of a replay run-through at the end today.
Yeah, unfortunately for Dean Dilts, it kind of went all wrong literally not long after the start, and this is why.
I mean, immediately on the start, really. Corey Stas getting his braking wrong down in towards turn number 1. Almost like he was braking what he would at full racing speed, but on the opening lap when he had cold tyres. And you'll notice from some of the camera angles after this, by the way, Corey Stas had front left suspension damage that was pretty severe, actually. You see it just as he turns this left-hander here in a couple of moments. There you go. That wheel is basically pointing straight as he tries to go forwards. And yeah, there you go. Turning right to turn left, just gently there. It's a very, very damaged LMP2 that he had to come in and repair at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, this is Hightower's incident as well. He went off track. This is how the lead was transferred over. That's how he ended up down. Yeah, so low. And then Stephen Johnson, just as we were saying how well he'd done.
For a spin. Yeah, he was leading the AM class, went for a spin. Was it Stas? Yes, it was. That was Dan Kosick who went through there. Oh, Stas was on a different line anyway. And yeah, made contact. And Dean Dilts, by the way, on the outside of the corner was getting caught up with Scott Sadler here. And you're about to see that white. They look like a pair of squashies, these two, don't they? Anyway, let's see what happened. Oh, dear. Sadler, locking the rear brakes, trying to avoid a crash and goes for his own spin.
Yeah, then Stephen Johnson went back into pit lane after this as well. I think he's just kind of trying to get backwards and forwards. And then he goes straight back to pit lane.
I mean, his front left wheel's barely connected to the car anymore, so he decided that was going to take a lot. Oh, there you go. Yeah, I'm never going to get that back. I might as well tow.
Yeah, Dean Dilts did the same thing as well. Believe it or not, there wasn't a lot more after that. This is Pat Meesh and Dean Dilts' incident. No, it's not. Sorry, need to go back on that one.
Oh, there you go. There's a spin for Meesh and a backwards into the wall.
So there you go. Here it is.
Oh, this is a big one at the Mook curve. I think Dilts thought that Meesh would just back out here. Or did Meesh come into him? Well, I think they'll might point the finger at each other there, but Dilts is the one who ends up in the wall and out the race after that.
This is the Dan Kosick Solomon. This is the last one, by the way. There's not been many here. Is the door open? Yep. Did he close it on him? No.
Didn't break early enough.
Yeah, Kosick just didn't get it stopped. But that was it. That was all that was took part in that one.
Did the Chase Petterjohn one at the very final corner not trigger anything? Because he did lose 5 seconds somehow. I didn't see how, but just when he was trying to get past Anthony Serino at the very end there, he managed to lose 5 seconds when he was throwing absolutely everything at it, but maybe there was nothing really to speak of there. But no, this is quite early on in the lap.
Yeah. So I think he pops out. No, it's not even the last one. It pops out on it, doesn't it? Where was it for Chase Petterjohn then? I haven't got anything for Chase.
No, well, maybe there wasn't anything, to be fair, at the very end there. Maybe it was just nothing and just a normal mistake. So that's just about it for the Tail Racing Ring Runners this time round. I think the slower the car is, the better the racing is, does still stand. But I quite enjoyed that race, to be honest. The AM class victory was a very exciting battle to watch. Between two drivers we haven't seen very much of this season, or any of, indeed. Anthony Serino and Chase Petterjohn as well. We've seen them obviously in the past in this series, but for the first time this season, and they certainly started off their season in a good way.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think it's great that they've come back for this, and, I'm looking forward to seeing how they get on if they stay here for the rest of the season. It should be an interesting one.
Hopefully they do. Well, big thanks to everyone who's tuned in once again here for this round of the Tail Racing Ring Runners. Next week, we'll be back with the GT3s as we continue racing, this time the combined 24-hour Northlight Flower. I've been Ewan alongside James Parfitt, and we'll see you in 1 week's time for the GT3s. Goodbye for now.